Hello everyone from the Kingdom of Thailand, and from the thumbnail and the title probably, this is going to be a bit of a different video because I'm banging out the videos at the moment. I think it's like the 18th December. This won't go out until like after Christmas, and I'm making so many about like loads of different topics and I have to research them and stuff like that. So it's making me very tired, which is good to talk about for the theme of this video because I just want to talk about something a bit more personal. And I've been thinking about making a couple of these videos, like talking about what it's like to be a YouTuber who has left-wing politics under like capitalism and what it's like doing this full time. I also want to make another video about how to actually make a political YouTube channel, like what you should do, what you should avoid, the mindset to approach these things, which I found helpful throughout my, I don't even know how many years at this point, 4 years doing YouTube. And so definitely a bit more of a casual one today. And I just want to talk about like how I became this YouTuber, my opinions on like YouTube in general, and just what it's like being a YouTuber who started off just creating things I like and then transitioned into doing it as a job while my girlfriend eats really loudly. This is one of the annoying things about being a YouTuber traveling. So in this video, I just wanted to talk about like what it's like to be a YouTuber, how I became one, and just like how it makes you feel mentally because of the capitalist element. And before people jump in the comments being like, why are you complaining? We're going to start with that. People are going to be like, well, you can't complain. YouTuber is the best job ever. And I would also agree to some extent. Let's start with the positive aspects of being a YouTuber. So I've basically like always wanted to be a YouTuber. I absolutely loved YouTube growing up, like 2007 to 2009. I used to watch like Inside Gaming all the time on Machinima. Used to watch like so much gaming YouTube, and I always thought like, oh, wouldn't it be the best to be like a YouTuber? And like every 14-year-old, even today, wants to be some sort of like social media content creator. Nowadays, it's probably like more TikTok and like really rubbish stuff like that. But when I was a kid, YouTube, even a couple of years ago, YouTube. But the thing is, it was like one of those like passive dreams that I never took any steps towards. Like you guys will know, you all have them. Like, what if I could be a pro athlete? What if I could be a singer? What if I could be an actor? And for me, it was like, well, what if I could be a YouTuber? Wouldn't I be good at that? And a channel I used to watch all the time growing up, like it sounds weird saying growing up, I used to watch TYT all the time, like Cenk and Anna. And I really say watching that really got me interested in US politics and generally like politics as a whole. And I remember when me and my girlfriend started going out, like nearly 10 years ago at this point, I remember like recommending the Young Turks and always thinking about like, wouldn't that be such a cool job one day to be like a YouTube host who just talks about politics? But then I just kind of forgot about it. I went to university, I started doing my history degree, and I actually started doing like journalism, student journalism on the side, and I thought, I want to be a journalist. I like writing stuff about games, about movies, about politics, and I'm pretty good at it as well. So maybe I will be some sort of journalist. And then I went through uni doing a lot of stuff on the side. Then in the third year of my undergrad, I started doing a radio show, and I started my YouTube channel as well. And for those of you who don't know, my younger brother is actually a YouTuber. He's called Kavos. Some people often say you sound like Kavos, but yeah, he is my younger brother. So in third year, I was thinking I'm going to start my own YouTube channel, just like he has one. But then I thought I'd also do a radio show at university where I talked about politics. And I remember walking home one day and I was thinking about a name for the radio show, and I came up with the Kavernacle. And the Kavernacle is basically one of my names mixed with the tabernacle, because this was when I decided that my radio show and my YouTube channel would focus on like atheism and stuff like that and debunking religion. I was someone who was raised Catholic, and I thought it was such a great name. I told my girlfriend the name at the time, and then I was like, I cannot call the radio show this. It's too good. This name is too good. It must be reserved for my YouTube channel. So that's what I did. I called the YouTube channel the Kavernacle. I called my radio show something else. And my first videos are basically just audio recordings on my radio show that I posted on my channel with just like a picture, and my little brother helped me out because at this time at university, I didn't have any editing software, had no camera, so I would actually send it to him and he would do it for me just quickly. So thanks to him for doing that. And that's the origins of my YouTube channel. So I started with that, and then I went home in like June 2017, and I didn't really touch my YouTube channel until December 2017, where I started making like some gaming videos. Then I started making like some atheist videos. And then in early 2019, some videos I made did pretty well. And I've been stuck around like 4,000 subscribers for a while. They did well and I got new subscribers. And that set me on the path to becoming the channel I am today. And by the end of 2019, I think I had 7K subs. Then I hit 10K in August 2020. And then I hit 50K in November 2021. And now I'm nearly on 90K. So it's been a great run. And like I said, YouTube is just a great job. I worked a terrible job for about a year and a bit, being a pharmaceutical journalist up London, but it was during COVID, so that caused it to be such a mess. I hated working. I was a leftist before I started working. Literally the first day of work, I posted on my Instagram story, like, time to become a wage slave, because I knew what I was in for. And it was so depressing almost to start with. But I always grinded my YouTube on the side, thankfully. Didn't sleep much. Still put out 2 videos a week to the detriment of my mental and neurological health. And then in November 2020, I quit my job. Our boss had made us come back in during COVID already. But then the UK government announced another lockdown and she said we couldn't work from home. So I was like, fuck this, I'm quitting. And then I didn't tell my parents, but I was like, I'm going to grind YouTube for like 3 months and see where that goes. Because I remember saying to one of my managers at work that I could do this full time if I put in the time that I am at work into the channel. And that's exactly what I did. I put in like 40 hours a week to my channel. And from January 2021, it basically did really, really well. And here I am today doing it full time while traveling Asia. Doesn't that sound like the dream? And like I said, it's a great job. I get to dictate my own hours. The money is like okay, but it is a massive grind because I'm grinding literally for every dollar in ad revenue, combined with my Patreon, which I'd say makes up about maybe a fifth of my yearly income. I don't know how much money I've made this year, but for the last financial year, I made about like 27 or 28,000 pounds before tax. I had to pay like 7,000 pounds in tax and student loans. So it's about like 21,000, maybe a bit less or more. I actually haven't really looked at my tax specifically lately. So honestly, a lot better than I was making at my old job as well. So that's nice, but it is a lot of work. I treat it like a full-time job. I put in the hours of a full-time job. It's basically 40 hours every week. But because I'm someone who I'm pretty sure has OCD, have a massive trouble with like bullshit work hierarchies, it's just so much better being my own boss, dictating my own hours, makes me feel so much better, actually helped me recover a lot from mental health and neurological health problems I've had over the past couple years, just because I can get more sleep, just because I can be more relaxed. And all of that is amazing. And also for me personally, makes being a YouTuber so nice is that as someone who loves politics history and wants people to hear my opinion on it, getting thousands of nice comments every month telling me that they like what I'm saying or saying they like my videos, that is just so validating to me. And I really enjoy that because that's what I've always wanted, because I always thought like I had a good take on different things. And to see like so many thousands of people have such a nice response to that, people telling me I've influenced their politics or people telling me I've influenced them creatively into getting into YouTube and stuff like that. That's all amazing. That's really rewarding. I enjoy talking to people on like Instagram and other things. I enjoy the left-wing communities on places like Twitter. I've engaged with loads of creators that I've liked over the years. And I tweeted this the other day. I'm not going to say who. There's about 3 people who've like reached out to me on like Twitter and stuff, and they've said really nice things about my channel without me sparking up the conversation myself. And a couple of these people like inspired me to do YouTube in the first place. And that is just like the best feeling. Someone who literally inspired you to do the job you're doing, telling you without you interacting with them first, that they really like your stuff. Again, that's probably the highlight of doing that so far. So like I said, I'm not complaining about doing YouTube. It's a really good job for me overall. And like I said, this year, I have lived outside of the UK for like 7 months. I lived in Spain, Vietnam, Cambodia, Vietnam again, now Thailand, and then Cambodia again later on. And it's just given me the freedom to do all of these things. And that is just, you know, what you want with a job. And plenty of you who like don't do YouTube, you might have these jobs as well where you can work from home or travel and stuff. And it really is the best thing. And for me personally, it's even better because I'm my own boss pretty much. Yeah, there's YouTube bullshit you have to deal with sometimes, but pretty much it's all on me. But talking about it being all on me, let's get into like the problems with YouTube. So when I started doing my YouTube channel, I pretty much did it for the love, of course. Like I did it because I wanted to have a take on political issues. I never thought I would do it for a job. I just said to myself, my main goal, my overall goal, I'd be happy with this if I had 10,000 subscribers and every video, the lowest amount of views it would get is about 1,000 views. I'd be happy with that. And for a time in like 2020, that was my YouTube channel. Although the views were actually way better, that was my YouTube channel, having like a nice community, but basically making no money because every single video was demonetized. I had really no engagement with YouTube to help me through this process. And I was content with that. And that's when YouTube was the most fun. You just try different things. You make videos on everything you care about. Some do bad, some do good, but it doesn't really matter because it's not your job. You're just doing it for fun. You're just doing it for the love of this stuff. In the back of your mind, you're thinking about, wouldn't it be nice to have more views and have more subs? But I didn't really care about that stuff. It was really nice to get 10,000 subscribers. I would never think I could potentially get 100K in like the next year. And 2021 was really validating for me as well because my channel literally grew every single month. Like consistently, I'd have at least like 1,500 new subscribers, more money, more views. And then some months it'd go absolutely insane. This time last year, my channel was going crazy. I think I got like 5,000 subs in like 4 weeks, like over 1 million views. And that was so great for me. And that whole year was amazing to do YouTube. But then that's when the problems set in because I'm thinking about December and I'm thinking about, oh yeah, everyone loves my channel now. I'm getting so many views. I'm going to hit 100K by the summer probably. And as you guys can see from my sub count, I still haven't hit 100K. And that has been the problem with this year. And I want to talk about like mental health and like kind of capitalism as well, because capitalism is an economic system that promotes like infinite growth, but this isn't sustainable. And this also is not sustainable for a YouTube channel. Now, you guys might not know this if you don't have a YouTube channel. Every time you upload a video, your YouTube video gets a ranking based on the last 10 videos you've uploaded. And it has like little arrows telling you if it is better or worse than the other videos in these 10. And you have it ranked by how many people have watched this in terms of views, how many minutes watched, and the average watch time. Now, this is where the problems set in. So my December and January 2021 and January 2022 was so good, right? So when my views started declining a bit, not being bad at all, they were still amazing, it would start having the downwards arrow for every single category. And how does that make me feel? People hate my channel, no one cares anymore, look, they're all just not watching as much. And why is YouTube doing that to me? YouTube is doing that to me because it wants me to make the most viral content as possible. You've just made a video that's not doing as well as that last one. Well, think about that. And if you want to feel good again, make a video that will do better, that will make you more money, will get you more views, but will also make YouTube more money as well. And in that system, it's really hard to just make videos you feel passionate about. Like, I am very fortunate that I do care about so many things and I talk about so many things and I just like throw them up on my channel and they do well. But I'd be lying if I said that there are videos that I'd like to make but I don't make because they do bad. And then the problem being, because I do this full time, making 3 videos a week to make an income of about 27,000, I can't really afford to start making content that might not do that well. Like, I'm pretty dialed in now to what my audience want and what people will watch. But at the same time, there are certain videos I'd love to make and I just wouldn't know if that would do well. But then the problem being then, does the next video do bad? Does the next video do bad? Is your month bad? And then I start spiraling and saying, well, they didn't like this video. I had a bad week. What if next week's bad? What if next week's bad? What if next month is bad? What if the month after is even worse? What if I start losing subs? What if I can't do this as a job anymore because people just don't care about my content? And that's what YouTube's system really makes you feel like, because they want you to maximize your views. They want you to have infinite growth. And that is just not sustainable. What I'd love YouTube to do is reform the system and maybe tell you like, what this video did better than other ones. Like, oh, people watched this longer. Oh, people were more engaged. But they could take something from each video and tell you what either did good or what was doing okay, rather than telling you based on the metrics of your last 10 videos that you're rubbish. Like, literally, my views have been so good lately, but then I make a video like about Sonic the Hedgehog and all the metrics are down. And then I feel terrible about myself because YouTube is making me feel terrible about myself and making me feel I've got to appease the algorithm more. Don't make videos like that Sonic one. Make videos like, for example, my one about Ben Shapiro lately, we've got like 80,000 views. Make those videos because people like those ones. People don't like those Sonic ones. So don't make ones you just care about. Make ones that you care about, but also the masses love as well. And this isn't really a problem if you have a really strong Patreon following, but because I make most of my revenue on YouTube itself, I can't then start making like videos like the Sonic one for every video, because then my income is going to significantly decline. Like one day, hopefully, I do have a big enough Patreon where I can just literally put out whatever I want on YouTube, but that is just not something I can do. And like I said, I do care about the videos I put out. I do care about the topics, but there are videos I've made this year which I've been very sad by the reaction to, because I thought they were really good videos, had a lot of fun making them, and then they just flopped really bad. And then YouTube tells me, yeah, don't make that content anymore. Luckily, I don't really listen, so I still make it. And the ones I'm thinking of are like the Mark Wahlberg one and his like promotion of this like Catholic app, like prayer app, the John Bernthal podcast one. I had a lot of fun making that. The Sonic one, the Metal Gear Rising one. I loved making those videos. I'm super proud of those videos. I'm glad I made them. But again, YouTube made me feel terrible about making them, because it was like, well, your audience don't really like these ones as much as the other ones, so here's loads of downward arrows to make you feel really terrible about yourself, and then start spiraling thinking, maybe me being a full-time YouTuber is not sustainable because people don't care. And it gets even worse when I go through really bad periods. I remember in like February was like the first time I started like losing subscribers. Like I think my net for the month was like minus subscribers. That had never happened to me before, and I felt absolutely like terrible about myself because of that. And I know it's pretty irrational, it's numbers on the screen, but to me, it's not just numbers on the screen in terms of like who's watching you. I still had a big audience, but it was more like, oh my God, I'm going to start declining soon, and then I'm just going to become another irrelevant YouTuber who might have like a high sub count, but has bad views. And because I make most of my money from the views, again, it makes me feel terrible about myself. And I know many of you can probably relate who aren't YouTubers, because self-employment is about often how much work you put in or how much prices you're getting for certain things. The same on YouTube. Not every video gets the same amount of money. It's all based on like things that I don't really understand in terms of like companies bidding to put ads on your videos. But you can have a video that has 100k views that makes less money than a video with 50k views. That's how this works. There's a lot of things with YouTube us YouTubers just don't really understand. But like, I always think about this in like a capitalist lens, in that I used to make videos just because I like making videos, because it wasn't my job. And the problem is, when you start making it your job, you're not just making videos because you love making them. That's part of it. You're making videos to make money. And I think that's why so many political YouTubers go off the deep end, like Jimmy Dore or Dave Rubin, and become these massive grifters, because there's money to be made in a certain form of content. Left-wing content, in terms of political content, isn't the most profitable. But of course, left-wing people, anti-capitalist, we're genuine. We don't only care about money, but we live in this capitalist system. We have to pay bills. We have to, make rent and stuff like that. We can't ignore the financial stuff. So that always factors in. And again, YouTube incentivizes this mindset and likes to make you feel terrible if a video does badly. And to be honest, I have gotten better with my mindset towards this stuff. I don't spiral as bad. I'm not as like careful about the content I put up. Like sometimes I'm like, this video is going to do bad and I don't care because I want to talk about it. My subscribers might enjoy it, so I'm just going to do it, and screw YouTube. But that is me being in a more financially comfortable position, because last year in 2021, I had to be way more specific. Even though I was kind of like throwing things at the wall and seeing what would stick with some content, I couldn't take as many risks, because at least at the start of 2021, I really wasn't making much money at all. So mentally, that side of YouTube can be really tough. And I guess the problem is, not every YouTuber has the same experience. Like, I can't talk to every YouTuber I know about this, because I know loads of YouTubers who release one video a month. It does amazing, and they also have a really strong Patreon following, so they don't have as many problems to do with this stuff. And a lot of other YouTubers I know who put out like daily content, or a lot of content a week, they also have strong Patreon followings. So for me personally, I don't really know too many other left-wing YouTubers who don't have like a fallback on their Patreon. Like, I literally have to make most of my money from my ad revenue, and that just puts a lot of pressure on me. And 3 videos a week is what I can handle. Any more, I don't think I could handle. At the moment, I've done about 5 in a row, and I've got to make 3 more next week, and also editing this one. That is loads, and I'm doing that so I can have a week off over Christmas. And that's another thing about doing YouTube full time. The way I do it, I don't get any time off, really. Like, the nice thing is, because I'm self-employed, if I don't feel like working one day, I just don't. But that means I'll make up for it in the week later. So this week, for example, I didn't work on Monday, so now I'm working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And this is special circumstances because I am getting ready for the holidays. But that is a nice thing still. Like, you can just one day say, I don't feel like it. I'm going to mentally prepare for the week by having a day off. Now, usually, apart from today, I make sure to take every single weekend off. I don't like working on the weekend. I like to separate that because I treat this like a normal job. And with many normal jobs, you wouldn't be working on the weekend. But the problem being, I also barely ever have any time off in terms of just like taking the weekdays off. I think this year I've had 1 week off. I had 5 work days when I first got to Southeast Asia, and I'm pretty sure that is it. Last year, I had 7 days over Christmas off, and I think 4 days, work days in April and stuff. I literally got so much more holiday when I worked full time. And like I said, it's like a pro and con. Like, pro, I'm my own boss. I cannot work if I don't feel like working. But at the end of the day, I do have that financial pressure to work and to incentivize me to actually work. And I don't really have any holidays. I can't really switch off ever. And that is a bad thing about being like a social media creator. I'm never switched off. I'm always thinking about new ideas. I'm always thinking about the channel. I'm always reading comments. I'm always replying to tweets. I'm always reading Instagram messages and stuff like that. It just never really ends. And for me personally, I like a lot of that stuff because it's personally validating. I love politics. I love the engagement with my community and stuff like that. But it is quite exhausting when you can never just forget about it. Even now, like, you're watching this video, I'm chilling, trying to enjoy Christmas, but I put this up because I'm like, I can't just go a week without not uploading any content. So I've made 2 videos for Christmas break, but that means I have to work really, really hard before it on top of all my regular like weekly content. And even you watching this right now, I'm probably feeling bad about this video looking at the analytics. It's probably like, oh, no one cares about this. The views are really bad. The watch time's really bad because you're talking about your personal life, and people don't subscribe to that. They subscribe to your content. They don't subscribe just for you as a person. So that's a lot of the flaws of being a YouTuber. But make no mistake, the pros far outweigh the cons. I absolutely hated full-time office work. Like, don't get me wrong, this is like a perfect job for me on many levels, but I'm just dedicated to the grind because I want to get it to a place where the views are good enough, where I don't have to make as much videos, and the Patreon following is good enough that I don't have to rely on the ad revenue. That's the dream at the moment, but if I have to do this for the rest of my life, probably like 3 videos a week, it's far better than the alternative, trust me. Like, doing 40-hour weeks in an office and stuff, hated it, exhausted all the time. The only way I can make room for my hobbies like football and YouTube was by not sleeping, which was absolutely terrible for my health. So again, not complaining about being a YouTuber. It's great. It's what I've always wanted to do. How many people can say that about jobs they do? Not many, I assume, but there are a lot of issues, mainly because we all like to make things because we love to do it. But when you add the financial thing into it, that's when it gets complicated. And of course, I think of that George Lucas quote. I know it's not exactly the same, but he's saying like Soviet filmmakers had a lot more freedom to create films than Americans did, because American filmmakers always had to worry about generating massive profit, where a lot of Soviet filmmakers could be far more experimental because they didn't have to worry about these considerations as much. Mostly they got their funding for the state to make a film, the state approved it, people watched it. If it made money or not, a lot of people didn't really care. And that's why there actually are loads of lost great Soviet films, because they were so far ahead often of American filmmakers because they didn't have to worry about generating profit. And that could probably also be a good statement about YouTube, in that how good would YouTube be if people were only making videos out of passion and not factoring in like the financial side, which most of us have to do. But I will admit there are some exceptions. Like Jenny Nicholson literally just makes whatever she wants and it does amazing. Like that video about the Evermore theme park, while also making a video about the Land Before Time. It's so diverse in terms of her content because it's so personality driven. I don't think she takes into consideration like ad revenue and stuff like that, but you have to get to that level with your Patreon and know you have that audience backing you up with your content to have that freedom. And that is freedom I don't have. And you guys might wonder like, oh, Kavernacle, if you had this freedom, what content would you make? And to be honest, I would still like to do kind of similar videos, but I would also like to do some more like video essay types. I know I'm good at script writing and I do have like really good ideas for videos, But again, this is a job. I have to treat it like a job. So that means I have to do it in the format I'm doing it. I think I found a format that works for me, where it's a bit more casual. It can be newsy focused, but it isn't just me reporting the news. I try and make every video like a topic. But like I said, this isn't like the old days where I'd randomly make like a massive video essay on Metal Gear Solid, or a video essay about like Call of Duty and other video games, because honestly, that's too much work that detracts from my other video work. And honestly, I just can't really afford that, especially as someone from the UK, primarily living in London and trying to like save up for a house deposit. I can't just start making like less money at the moment. So that's me being totally honest about my problems with like YouTube and capitalism. Some of it is self-inflicted. You guys can say, well, get a normal job if you care about this stuff so much. But then also I think YouTube incentivizes you to care more about making more profitable content, make them more money at the end of the day. And they have the incentive to make you feel like trash if you don't keep, infinitely growing your channel. Kind of in line with this stuff, talking more about like the mental health side, something every YouTuber has to do is deal with hate. Now, for me personally, it's been a process. And when I was a smaller channel, I'd often have like bigger conservative channels making videos on me, and then you'd wake up in the morning to like hundreds of hate comments, like ripping apart your appearance, saying terrible things about you, sometimes like 4chan threads, like really speculating where you live, making death threats and stuff like that. Apparently also loads of racism. I get loads of racist abuse from other white people who say I'm like a Mongol, who say I'm like Muslim, or say some slur about Jewish people to me. So that's been a fun experience, getting like racist abuse for the first time in my life. You get very desensitized to it quite quickly. And luckily, I'm a man, so I don't receive some of the insane harassment a lot of women creators go through. 4 years I've been doing this, I receive loads of hate, and to a lot of people, they probably couldn't handle that. For me personally, I kind of like getting under people's skin. Like, it makes me laugh when I wake up to like an essay on the comment section in one of my videos. I'm like, I love the thought of you getting so angry at what I've said. You just sat there for like an hour typing up some comment. I'm either going to delete, or I'm just not going to read. I can understand why people get so like down about this stuff. For me, there is one thing, and one thing I absolutely hate, and this has been hard to deal with, is being mischaracterized. And being mischaracterized by supposedly other leftists. A lot of American leftists, by the way, it seems to be a trend, in that I've literally had people tell me I'm like a shill for Russia, I support Putin, I love the Chinese Communist Party, I'm a shill for the Chinese Communist Party. I've had loads of people say this stuff about me, and then when I challenge them on it, like they're saying to me on Twitter or Reddit, they literally cannot back up any of their arguments because they've just heard it secondhand from someone else. A popular one people call me is tanky when we talk about things like Ukraine or China, despite the fact my take on Taiwan was like, I support their self-determination. Doesn't seem like something Xi Jinping would really like of me. And in terms of things like Ukraine, I say like I support the Ukrainian fight against the Russian occupation and invasion. I just don't love the Ukrainian state. I don't love the Ukrainian government. I don't like lots of their policies. People have mischaracterized that into saying I'm a tanky. I'm like Jimmy Dore. I'm like, is it Jason Hinkle? And that's really, really frustrating to me because I'm really not like any of those people. And I feel like me trying to have a nuanced discussion on things often results in people getting very mad. Like, I'm anti-NATO, for example. Apparently that annoys loads of American leftists, but I've always been anti-NATO. And apparently now when I bring it up, I've always hated it. In terms of like what's going on in Ukraine and stuff, people start saying, oh, well, you love Putin. But yeah, me, communist, anti-capitalist, the Kavernacle, who is worried about my own country, the UK, turning into Putin's Russia. Oh, I actually love Putin's Russia all of a sudden. But that stuff is really, really frustrating, especially when it's fans of like bigger creators taking it upon themselves to like really harass me or say these smears against me and act like I'm someone I'm not, just because their supposed leftism is all about propping up the American-dominated status quo. Or in my opinion, what it is that they see like the three superpowers or the two superpowers and they're like, well, America's bad, Russia's bad, China's bad, but if I have to pick, I'll pick America every day of the week. Where for me personally, I see America as the number one enemy of all working people in the world, because after World War II, it created the capitalist system we live in for its own benefit and has done insanely evil things to uphold that. I'm traveling around Cambodia and Vietnam right now. I see the evidence of this. It's terrible what they did. And in America, no one even cares about what they did to these people. So mentally, that's been the thing I've hated the most. And I think that's why I've steered away from even interacting with many creators, especially in a certain segment of the left. I'd say adjacent to like Twitch debaters or even like Twitch channels on the left, because I feel like they just love to manufacture drama for clicks. And there's lots of drama YouTube channels. Like people just talk about other like irrelevant creators, and it seems to be a pretty profitable niche. And pretty much I've just muted all these people on Twitter. I don't even want to be aware of what they're talking about because I find them so dishonest. And in my own experience, the fans of these creators just love the drama, so they love taking me out of context. I've seen people on like various subreddits post pictures of me in Vietnam where I've said I'm living in communism, getting really angry and saying, oh, I can't believe the Kavernacle is so serious, when I'm clearly joking. Like, it's that sort of stuff that gets me really mad. And then people start saying loads of smears against me. So I'd say in terms of mentally, attacks from the right wing, attacks from the far right, all that stuff, totally fine. I can deal with that. I'm desensitized to it. I've had it my whole YouTube career. Being smeared by supposedly fellow leftists and taking my words out of context and painting me as something I'm not, that really gets to me, and I really hate it because I know I'm not like this. When you have supposed leftists telling other leftists you're a certain way when they haven't watched your channel at all, and then they get this opinion and it spreads, that is really, really hard to deal with, and that's what I hate the most. And in terms of mentally, that has been another factor on top of like the horrible YouTube stuff of why this can be really hard. Now, finally, in terms of mental health stuff, something that I like is interacting with a lot of people on the left-wing community, but something I've increasingly grown to hate is I spend a lot of time messaging people back on Instagram, Reddit, and previously Twitter when I had my DMs open. And so many times I've spent a good deal of time talking to people, and then randomly they're like, unfollow me or block me or something. And that always really annoys me because I'm like, as happy as I am to talk to people, I don't feel like you can't message me if you want to talk about something. I take time out of my day to like talk to you, and you have questions for me or you spark up the conversation, and then suddenly you just unfollow me. And even though I'm following you back and stuff, you unfollow me and like block me for like why? Like, what have I done to you? Like, apparently you like my content so much you want to talk, and now apparently you hate me or something. Like, am I really that controversial? And why I hate that so much is because you feel like it's not worth the time, because I spend time talking to this person, we're like getting on over like DMs and stuff, and then one day they're just going to act like, oh, I hate this guy now, I'm going to block him. So that's kind of closed me off a bit more. And also there are other creators I get on with like quite well in terms of like just mutually liking each other's stuff or like commenting jokes and stuff. But I do feel like it's a bit cliquey, leftist YouTube. And at the same time, I do feel like even as me, as someone with 90k subs, that you can't really reach out to a lot of them, because I do think they really do like their standing in the community. And I can kind of see how they cultivate their images, even how some people tweet. You know, it's all about like growth for their Twitter accounts. Because if I wanted to constantly grow my Twitter account, I wouldn't start posting like Mr. Brightside lyrics or talking about how bad Elden Ring is. I don't know. I do feel like some people on the left are more focused on like the celebrity or like the standing in the community. And I have had some creators message me first, and I thought we got on well, but then you just like never hear from them ever again. And again, it's the nature of like online relationships. It's the nature of all this stuff. But it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I never reach out to anyone. There's loads of people on left-wing YouTube who I even follow, like we're mutuals. I would never message them because I'm too paranoid about feeling like, oh, I'm annoying you and wasting your time. I know how terrible that feels. So I never want anyone to feel like that and feel like they can't message me because, oh, I'm a nobody. Like, Kavernacle will never spend time messaging me. But then it feels bad when you actually do spend the time to interact with a lot of people. Like, I say I interact with my community way more than other people do. And then you just feel like a bit burnt by it because you're like, well, what, you spent all this time talking to me for like months sometimes, and now you unfollow me and like hate me without even a word. Again, just another element of being like a small, like niche online content creator that does suck in general. And a combination of all these things can make you spiral like really, really bad. And that's like the mental health side of this stuff. Like, I love making content, I like making videos, I like the engagement, I like all that stuff. But when it's going bad, it can feel really, really bad. And another part of that is YouTube is very isolating as well. Like, personally, as you know, the king of the Sigma males, I like just being on this grind. I like just getting through it and stuff. But also when it's going badly, you have no one to talk to about it because no one understands it. Like, pretty much no one in my life, apart from my younger brother, No one understands the bad things about being a YouTuber. So you can be out with your friends, right? And your friends might complain about their boss, their workplace, or co-workers. And we can all sympathize with that. We've all had that in our lives. I've had that in my life. And you can kind of talk about that, talk about your own experience. And it feels like, there's a bit of solidarity there. But with YouTube, I feel like an idiot, even in this video, complaining about stuff. And if I want to tell my friends about how it's going, they really don't understand. And even my parents as well, they really don't understand. If I try and express like the moments that YouTube is hard to them, they just don't really get it. And it feels like really isolating, because it's like, I work so hard at this. I work just as hard as all you guys working, usual jobs and stuff. But it seems like to them, because my schedule is so irregular, it pretty much seems to them, I think, that I just do nothing all day and like pump out a video really quickly and I'm just chilling playing games all the time. And in terms of the isolation and the capitalism bit as well, YouTube is so unaccountable as a company. You have no job security. Like one day you could just be banned. And we're seeing with Twitter right now, like imagine if someone like Elon Musk becomes the CEO of Google. We could be so screwed. I'm really worried about someone taking over YouTube one day that starts enacting some more stricter policies on what you can say. I'm mainly worried about stuff to do with BDS and criticism of Israel, and I'm worried about if that will ever be sanctioned. And I feel like one day we could maybe head in that direction. So I'm worried about that. But in terms of YouTube, you can't even talk to a human really until you have 100k subscribers, where you get like a dedicated worker on your channel. Because at the moment, when I'm having problems with monetization, if I'm having problems with stuff with the channel, I have to talk to some bot or probably some worker outsourced somewhere around the world who doesn't really have an interest in helping me, despite the fact that YouTube seems to love incentivizing us to make content that constantly goes viral and generates loads of ad revenue. They also don't treat their creators very fairly or very well, in my opinion. And a final thing on the mental health, something about this year I really regret is how much I've let YouTube really make me feel bad about myself. So if you guys don't know, if you're new to the channel, I've been traveling a lot this year. I've been like living in different countries. I've still been doing YouTube, of course. I lived in Spain, went to all these amazing places. I've, lived across Southeast Asia. But although I've really enjoyed it, and I think when I'm older, I'm going to look back and think about how amazing it was, at the same time, how my channel has gone this year has really detracted from the experience, because it's made me feel so terrible. Like last year, like if I went traveling last year, I would have had literally the best year of my life, because the YouTube channel was doing so well. And I'm going to all these amazing places. But this year, I remember there's times in Spain, I was like, I feel terrible about myself. Like I'm not enjoying being here because the YouTube stuff is so stressful. And even while I've been in Vietnam, when I remember when I first went to Cambodia, my channel was doing really bad. I'm like, I'm really not having a good time right now. It's really taking over my mood. And I guess that's just the nature of stuff, like the dopamine hits you get from social media engagement. Think about that if it's your job. Think about if every Twitter like is also related to your income as well. And if you see a tweet going viral, that means you'll make more income that month and it will help you throughout the year and stuff. I think there should be academic studies on how social media like really rewires your brain, especially being a content creator who does it full time. And that's the one thing I hope I get better at going forward, is that I've done YouTube full time for nearly 2 years now. First year, it went so well, I didn't have to think about my issues with it. The second year, it's been so up and down. Like I've had massive spikes and then massive declines and stuff. I've really had to think in my own head, like, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this healthily? How do I just accept the bad month is a bad month and it doesn't mean my YouTube channel is going to die? But of course, it could always mean that. But how do I try and get out of that negative headspace? And honestly, it's been really hard. And because also I set myself the goal of hitting 100k subscribers this year, because I didn't achieve that, and because I knew I wasn't going to achieve that by about October, again, I felt terrible about myself, and I'm just trying to reassess it in my head and think, how could I be more positive towards YouTube? How could I make sure this doesn't really affect my mood? I'm not saying it makes me a terrible person. I'm not a nasty person. I don't let my job really dictate my mood, but at the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about these things. And at times it can just make me have a bad day. Like on a Saturday when I'm done with the week, I'm like, well, my YouTube channel's done crap this week and maybe it will do crap next week. What about the week after? What if I, fail as a YouTuber and stuff like that? So one of my goals for 2023, despite like growing the channel and stuff, I just want to have a healthier relationship with my channel. But like I said, I feel that's very hard to do with all the problems with being a full-time content creator in a capitalist society, and all the problems of just being like online all the time and getting a lot of your validation from social media, and at the same time having really no one to talk to about it who really gets it. Like even my younger brother, who's a bigger YouTuber, he doesn't upload all the time like me, and also he doesn't have to worry about the same things I worry about because I probably make far less money than he does. So unlike a traditional job where it's like a career, where in theory you should be paid more based on how much time you work at a place, with YouTube I could have peaked already, and that's something always in the back of my mind. I could have peaked already and I'm just going on a downward spiral. And then you guys will say it's not the end of the world, you can just get a regular job. But for me personally, as someone who just finds that so demoralizing and depressing, that pretty much is the end of the world for me. Like, I really cannot go back to that environment. I hated it so much, and I just love not being in it anymore. I hate bullshit hierarchies. I have such a problem with them. So here's hoping the YouTube channel goes well for the foreseeable future. So a lot of people will also be saying, well, under capitalism, you get to be a YouTuber as a job, so you should love capitalism. I get this comment all the time. And what I will say to people is, I've made YouTube videos way before I started making money on YouTube. I love doing that as well. If I could just make YouTube videos and have all my like material needs met, I would do it. I don't need a monetary incentive to do this. I didn't make any money for about 3 years on YouTube before I started doing it full time. Just like many people who make video games or do art, you just do it because you love it. You do it because you want to talk about stuff. You do it because you want to express yourself. That's why I do YouTube primarily. Doing it full time is a nice bonus, but I'm not at the level yet where I can just put out what I want and have my audience respond to it well. I'm not like Curtis Connor, who puts out like a video every, I don't know, week and a half and gets 1 million views because people love him so much. I'm not at that level yet. So I really have to factor in like capitalism, economics, my own revenue when I think about my channel in the long term. And in my opinion, that detracts from my content, not makes it better, because I have to factor in if a video will do well in terms of making me enough money for the month or for the year. If I didn't have to worry about that as much, like when I used to not worry about that, I could be more creative, I could take more risks, I could make less content but higher effort content pretty easily because I wouldn't have to worry about money. In the world I envision and the world I want, we don't have to worry about things like money, so we can just do things like make videos for people to watch, or we can just make video games or do art without worrying about can I afford food or rent? And I think people have probably made better videos about monetizing your hobbies or monetizing your passion, and it's definitely something I've done, but I think overall, I've outlined it for you in the video, the pros for me are so much better than the cons. But because a lot of you won't be YouTubers, a lot of you might be wondering, like, how does the Kavernacle feel about these things? These are my real personal thoughts about everything. It's a bit of a rambly video. I've probably left a lot of stuff out, but yeah, genuinely thank you everyone for so much support, especially this year. Everyone who's a current patron, anyone who's ever been a patron, anyone who likes my videos and watches most of them. It means a lot to me that you just like my content in general. Like I said earlier in the video, the best achievement for my YouTube channel wasn't making money. It wasn't doing it as a full-time job. My favorite thing that's happened to me is people I watched growing up who are YouTubers reaching out to me organically and telling me they like my stuff. That is the best thing that has happened, because at the end of the day, despite doing this as a job, despite liking doing this as a job compared to like a standard job, I do this because I really like it, and it's pretty much something I've always wanted to do. So yeah, thank you for all the support you've given me this year. I know a lot of you who subscribe to my channel won't have made it this far. You probably haven't even watched this video. The video's probably doing bad right now, and I'm feeling bad about it, so that's nice, isn't it? I'm really gonna try and rework my brain in the coming year, just because you cannot really keep doing this for years and have a mindset that like your self-worth is tied to the views on one YouTube video when you upload 3 a week and loads every year. Anyway, that is it for the video. Sorry if I didn't talk about capitalism as much. I guess I just mean like a general capitalist society and how we monetize our passions and stuff like that. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm really curious if any of you are in a similar situation to me, not in terms of YouTube, but just in terms of like your job or your art or something like that. I'd really be interested to know. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.